This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further as you can use the promo code MTGMudsta to get you 5% off anything on the site. Or if you're in Canada like me, you can use the same promo code at Multizone to get 10% off your orders of singles. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang. Hello, welcome back. It is I, world-renowned YouTuber MTGMudsta, also known as Andrew. And the number one question that I get asked often enough is how do I make my videos so well? Well, my first tip to you is comfortable t-shirts. That's right, today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. I am wearing one of their beautiful and super comfortable plain tees that you can get 3 of for $45, plus a further 10% off if you use my link down below. And if plain tees aren't your thing, they also have a great line of graphic tees, one of which I'm wearing right now. You can get 3 of them for $60, or if that's not enough, you can get 10% off by using that same link I just showed before down below. That's not all though. Until May 15th, they're actually running an even bigger offer, which is that you can get 1 t-shirt and get a second one for 50% off. So if you're looking to style up your wardrobe and support the channel at the same time, please be sure to use the link below and help support the sponsor. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game is another multi-zone matchup, with Maxim playing Kitt Kanto, Mayhem Diva, and it's the precon that he hasn't changed. He keeps Commander Sphere, Sandworm Convergence, Prosperous Partnership, Shamanic Revelation, Plains, Command Tower, and Temple of Triumph. Felix is playing Kamiz Obscura Oculus, and it's also an unchanged precon, keeping Prairie Stream, Swamp, Plains, Change of Plans, Chasm Skulker, and Drana, Liberator of Malakir. Marie is back having built Ziatora, keeping a Swamp, Felwar Stone, Rhythm of the Wild, Riveteer's Overlook, Exotic Orchard, Naiath, and a Forest. Jalbert has also made a new Capenna commander, keeping Cormela Glamour Thief, and he keeps Volcanic Vision, Make an Example, Graven Cairns, Shivan Reef, Fork, Reliquary Tower, and Factor Fiction. Maxim wins the die roll and starts us off. He plays a tap Temple of Triumph, scrying 1. Felix plays a Swamp. Jalbert plays a Shivan Reef and passes. Marie plays a Riveteer's Overlook and sacrifices it, going to find a basic. Maxim plays an Exotic Orchard and passes. Felix plays a Swamp and passes. Jalbert plays a Graven Cairns and just ships a turn. Marie has a Swamp for turn and casts Felwar Stone. Maxim plays Command Tower and taps 3 mana for Prosperous Partnership, making 2 tokens as the enchantment comes in. Felix has a Prairie Stream and then casts Drana. Jalbert drops her Reliquary Tower for turn and passes. Marie plays a Forest and casts Rhythm of the Wilds and ships the turn. Maxim plays a Plains and casts Life of the Party. As it enters, each opponent gets a token copy of it, and they're goaded for the rest of the game. He then hits Felix for 3 and passes turn. Felix has a Plains to play and casts his commander, Kamiz Obscura Oculus. Felix gives Drana the Unblockable and Connive trigger with it, and gives a life the Double Strike trigger, swinging Drana at max and the life of Jalbert. Max takes 3 first strike damage from Drana, and Jalbert takes 3 from the life. Drana then triggers, putting a +1/+1 counter onto the attacking creatures, and the life then deals 4 to Jalbert, and he passes turn. Jalbert draws and plays a Wishclaw Talisman in his main phase, activating it to go and find a land for turn. He gives the artifact to Marie as the tutor resolves. Jalbert then goes to combat, swinging the life at Marie, and Marie takes the 1, and Jalbert goes to find his land, which he'll play for turn, and he passes. Marie plays an Exotic Orchard, and then activates a Talisman as well, removing a counter and going to find a card to put to hand. She gives it back to Jalbert. She then casts Naiath, and has the creature gaining haste from the Rhythm trigger. Moving to combat, she swings both of them at Felix. Felix blocks Naiath with his commander, and takes 2 from the life. This has Marie drawing a card from Naiath's trigger from a creature being blocked, and she then passes to Max. Maxim draws and plays a Forest. He taps 5 in his main phase for Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, and then hits Marie with his Life of the Party for 4. Felix plays another Plains, and then drops a Chasm Skulker. He moves to combat, and has Drana go at Max and Life go at Marie, and puts the trigger to Unblockable and Connive on Drana, and the double strike on the Life. The Skulker gains a +1/+1 counter from Felix conniving, drawing. Max then takes 6 while Marie takes 5, and Felix adds a counter to his attacking creatures, with Marie taking another 6. Jalbert taps a Reliquary Tower to remove the last counter from his Wishclaw Talisman, and he gives the now non-functioning artifact to Max. He finds and casts a Soul Ring, and then loses 1 as he taps a Shivan Reef to make a red mana, and filters the red mana to make some black mana to cast Make an Example. Max responds, tapping 3 creatures with his Prosperous Partnership to make a treasure. Each opponent then makes 2 piles of creatures, with Marie going for broke and piling both her creatures together in an effort to appeal to Jalbert's kindness. Max puts the Life and the tokens together, leaving Kazul on its own, and Felix puts the Life and Drana together and the Skulker in his commander. Jalbert shows mercy on Marie, takes out the token pile for Max, and says goodbye to Drana and the Life with Felix, and passes to Marie. Marie draws and plays a Swamp. She casts Ziatora and gives it haste as it enters with a rhythm trigger. Moving to combat, she swings Ziatora at Max, while Naef and the Life go at Felix. Max gets to make a token thanks to Kazul, and Felix blocks the Life with Kamiz. Marie gets to draw a card from the creature being blocked, and Felix then takes 3 while Max takes 6 commander damage. Marie then passes through her phases, and chooses not to use the Ziatora trigger. Max brings out Kitt Kanto, Mayhem Diva, making a citizen token as she enters, and passes. Felix draws and adds a counter to the Skulker, and then plays an island. He taps 6 mana to cast Stolen Identity, and he makes a token copy of Ziatora, which doesn't seem like a bad choice, and then ciphers the spell into the Skulker. He moves to combat and gives the Kamiz trigger to the now attacking Skulker, making it unblockable and making it connive. This adds a +1/+1 counter to it from him drawing, and then another +1/+1 counter from him conniving. He doesn't pay the Kazul tax, so Max makes another token, and Max then takes 4. Felix gets another Stolen Identity trigger, making a token copy of Kazul. He moves to his end step, and also decides against using the Ziatora trigger this time around. Jalbert taps 5 for a Gilded Lotus in his main phase, and then taps the rest of his mana for Archmage Emeritus. He moves to combat and has to swing at the Life token, going at Marie for 2. In his second main phase, he plays a tapped Valakut Stoneforge. Marie plays out a Deathclap Glade as her land for turn, and then uses 3 mana for Arnie Brokenbow, choosing to have the Human Berserker come in with a +1/+1 counter instead of haste thanks to the Riot trigger. She then declares she'll move to combat, which has Max using his Kitt trigger, tapping 2 creatures to give Ziatora +2/+2 and trample until the end of her turn, but also goads it. Marie still has the opportunity at this point to resolve her Naef combat trigger, paying the 3 to double the now 8/8 dragon into a 16/16. She swings both creatures at Felix, and once they're attacking, boasts Arnie to make him an 18/4. Felix gets a token from Kazul and blocks Arnie, but takes the hit from Ziatora. This lets Marie draw a card from the Naef trigger, and she then moves to her end step, getting a Ziatora trigger. This has her sacrificing Arnie to deal 18 damage to Max's face, and makes 3 treasure tokens. Once that's resolved, Max uses the partnership by tapping 3 creatures to make a treasure. Max draws for turn and isn't super pleased with his now very low life total. He sacrifices his treasures and taps a forest to help cast Wood Elves, going to grab a Cinder Glades to put to field, and then just passes turn. Felix draws, adding a counter to the Skulker, and plays a Skycloud Expanse. He moves to combat swinging the Skulker at Marie, and gives it Unblockable and Connive. He resolves the Connive, drawing a card and putting a +1/+1 counter onto the Skulker, and then another one from resolving the Connive itself. Marie has no choice but to take the hit, and Felix then gets to cast Stolen Identity again, this time making a token copy of Kitt Kanto, which, as it enters, makes a 1/1 citizen token. He then moves to his end step, and using the Ziatora trigger, sacrifices the citizen token, and targets the Wood Elves. With the trigger on the stack, Max casts and convokes March of Multitudes, putting 7 into the X. Jalbert untaps and draws. He casts Galvanic Iteration, drawing from the Archmage trigger. He then puts to stack Arcane Endeavor and gets a copy of it, plus draws 2 from his Archmage Spellcraft triggers. He then rolls his first 2d8s, hitting a 1 and a 6. He picks to draw 6 cards and cast a 1-drop, but he has none of them. He then resolves the copy, hitting a 2 and a 4. He draws 2, and then is able to cast a 4 less costing instant or sorcery. He resolves Seething Song for free, making 5 red mana. He uses this to help cast Volcanic Visions, and targets the Arcane Endeavor. In response, Felix casts Change of Plans, targeting each of the creatures except for the Kazul token. They each connive, which has an upside of the Skulker becoming even bigger, and then phase out. Max also taps his creatures to make 2 treasure tokens thanks to the Prosperous Partnership. The Vision then resolves and wipes away most of the board, and Jalbert then discards down to 7. Marie plays an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, and then taps enough mana to cast a Green Sun Zenith where X is a lot. She grabs and puts to field Old Gnawbone, and gives it haste as the dragon enters thanks to the Riot trigger. She goes at Felix during combat, but before moving to damage, Felix uses Utter End, exiling the dragon. Marie then passes turn. Max untaps and draws for turn. He uses his lands and treasures to bring in a Sandworm Convergence, and then passes through to his end step, making a Worm token. Felix phases his creatures back in, and draws, adding another counter to the Skulker. He looks through his graveyard, and pays 6 mana for an Archon of Coronation, becoming the Monarch as it enters. Moving to combat, the Skulker, Kamiz, and the Ziatora token go at Jalbert, while the Kitt Kanto token goes at Marie. He has the Skulker get the Unblockable and Connive, adding a counter from drawing, and then 1 from conniving, and gives the Ziatora token Double Strike. This is enough damage to take out Jalbert in combat, and Marie takes 4. Felix then makes a token copy of the Worm token thanks to his stolen identity. He then passes, drawing at the end of turn from being the Monarch. At this point, Jalbert wants to reveal to the table his win con, which is Eternal Dominion, wanting to have cast it after playing several ways to copy it in a turn. Marie draws for turn and plays a Swamp. She taps enough to recast Ziatora, and has the dragon gain haste as it enters. She swings Ziatora at Felix, who blocks with the original Archon. Marie then moves to her second main phase, and plays a Wall of Blood, having it come in with a +1/+1 counter thanks to Riot. She then activates the wall enough times, paying life into it to pump it so that during her end step, it's big enough for her to fling at Max and kill him, plus gain her 3 treasures. Securing herself as a silver medalist of this game, she knows she's done for when Felix untaps, and graciously concedes the game to him. Game review time. This game had some of my favorite plays in recent memory. I love anything with goad, so Kitt Kanto instantly drew my attention when I came to the shop, and Maxime told me that he'd built the deck. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see too much action from her, but we did see that Prosperous Partnership, which I think is a great card, and I love that Kitt Kanto triggers on each combat step. Speaking of Kitt Kanto's trigger, I loved how Maxime and Marie teamed up, pumping Ziatora to be an 8/8, and then she used Nayeth to basically make it a 16/16. What was even sweeter was the fact that she was able to boast Arnie, which made him huge, and then fling it at the end of turn. Admittedly, I'm sure she'd agree with me now, she probably should have flung it at Felix. Kamiz is also a really cool commander, and I'm pretty impressed that they decided to make her not just hard control, and instead combat-centric. Connive is a fun mechanic, and my goodness did that Chasm Skulker get big. I think the only deck that didn't do what it was supposed to do was Jalbert's Cormela deck, and I think that was just mostly because he wasn't drawing into what he needed. I love the idea of playing a bunch of copy spells and then copying something crazy, like the Dominion, and basically winning with other people's cards. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, Friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.